You didn't stumble here. Something older than your conscious mind brought you to this moment. And by the time this transmission ends, you'll understand exactly why. I am Kyle, a voice from the Arcturian Council, and what I'm about to share with you isn't information, it's recognition. Your soul signature has been detected. The frequency you carry, the one that hums beneath your daily thoughts, beneath your ordinary routines, beneath the life you've been pretending is enough. That frequency matches one we have known across thousands of cycles. You are not a newcomer to existence. You are not here for the first time. You arrived on this earth as a returning force, a being who has moved through dimensions, timelines, and civilizations that have long since dissolved from human memory. And here's the first thing you need to understand. The confusion you feel about who you are, that's not a sign of being lost. That's a sign of something ancient beginning to surface. You feel it, don't you? That quiet but persistent pull towards something larger. That inexplicable sense that the life you're living doesn't quite fit the soul you're carrying. That gnawing awareness that you've been here before, not just on this planet, but in positions of responsibility, wisdom, and cosmic leadership that dwarf anything your current circumstances reflect. You've led, you've protected, you've made decisions that shape the fabric of entire realities, and somewhere beneath all the noise of modern life, that knowing has never left you. By the end of this transmission, you'll understand who you were, why you chose this specific moment to return, and what the Arcturian Council needs from you now. You are not here by accident, and it's time you remembered that. There's a feeling that follows certain souls through their entire lives on Earth. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet discomfort, an inability to be fully satisfied by what the world tells you should be enough. A good career, a stable life, comfortable routines. And yet, no matter how much you accumulate, no matter how much you achieve by ordinary measures, something remains unmoved. Something deeper looks at all of it and whispers, "This isn't it." Most people, when they encounter this feeling, assume something is wrong with them. They reach for diagnoses, for explanations rooted in trauma or psychology or unmet needs. And while those frameworks hold partial truths, they miss the deeper architecture at work in souls like yours. Because what you're experiencing isn't a wound, it's a memory. A cellular memory of what it felt like to operate at full capacity, to inhabit your true function across dimensions where your gifts were not just recognized, but essential. You've been trying to fit an infinite consciousness into a finite set of circumstances. And the friction that creates, that dissonance, that restlessness, is not pathology. It's the pressure of remembering building behind a door that is finally ready to open. Let that land for a moment. The Arcturian Council has observed this pattern across countless returning souls. The disconnection you felt from ordinary human concerns, the way small talk exhausts you, the way meaningless noise drains you while deep conversation lights you up. None of that is a personality flaw. It is the signature of a being who has operated at galactic frequencies, attempting to function within a much narrower bandwidth. Of course it feels wrong. Of course the world feels foreign. You are not from here in the way that most people are from here. You arrived with something encoded in you that this Earth, at this particular moment in its evolution, specifically needs. And that's not a metaphor. That's a description of actual energetic architecture. The truth that most people miss is this: you didn't forget who you were because something went wrong. You forgot because forgetting was part of the agreement. Your soul, conscious, deliberate, and far wiser than your current human identity, chose this amnesia. It chose to descend into ordinary human experience without the full weight of galactic memory, because awakening to that identity gradually, through the lived friction of human life, was the only way to ensure the remembrance would be genuine. Not inherited knowledge, embodied wisdom. There is a difference, and that difference matters enormously for the work ahead. The Venerable Council, that vast intelligence of beings who have guided cosmic evolution across star systems and civilizations, they did not forget you during your years of confusion. They have been watching, waiting for the vibrational threshold you are now crossing. And this transmission reaching you is not coincidence. It is confirmation that the threshold has been crossed. What very few transmissions address is what it actually cost your soul to make this agreement. The decision to descend into full human amnesia, to strip away every memory of your former identity and enter this dense, chaotic, often painful dimension without a map, was not made lightly. In the space between your last incarnation and this one, your soul held a complete view of what this lifetime would require. The loneliness, the confusion, the years of searching for something you couldn't name, the relationships that didn't fit, the careers that felt hollow. You saw all of it, and you said yes anyway. That is not the decision of a small soul. That is the decision of one who understood that the cost of temporary forgetting was worth the depth of integration it would produce. Because a guardian who has genuinely lived the human experience, who has felt loss, limitation, confusion, and the grinding weight of ordinary life, carries a quality of compassion that no amount of cosmic knowledge alone can generate. You were not just preserving your mission, you were deepening your capacity to fulfill it. Pause with that. The very suffering you have sometimes resented, the years of not knowing, of not fitting, of searching, was not a detour from your purpose. It was the curriculum your soul designed to make you precisely the kind of leader this moment requires. If this transmission is already shifting something in you, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel, so these frequencies keep finding you when you need them most. So what does reactivation actually feel like from the inside? It rarely arrives as a dramatic vision or a sudden download of galactic information. It is far more subtle than that, and far more pervasive. It begins as an increasing inability to tolerate surface-level existence. You find yourself growing impatient with conversations that never go deeper than the weather, the news cycle, other people's opinions of other people. You feel an almost cellular irritation with mediocrity, not from arrogance, but from an internal compass that has been calibrated to something far larger and keeps insisting you move toward it. Alongside this, your relationship to time begins to shift. You become acutely aware that something is running out, not in a fearful way, but in the way a navigator becomes aware that the harbor is near and it's time to prepare. A sense of urgency without panic, precision without anxiety. Your sleep changes. Where your dreams once processed daily events, they begin to carry different content. Chambers that feel ancient. Beings whose faces you cannot quite see, but whose presence feels utterly familiar. Conversations that dissolve the moment you wake, but leave a residue of significance you can't shake. These aren't fantasies generated by an overactive imagination. They are briefings. Your higher dimensional self has never stopped meeting with the Council, and your dreams are the membrane through which those meetings occasionally bleed into conscious awareness. Pay attention to who begins appearing in your waking life during this phase. The Council does not limit its communication to the internal landscape. It sends messengers through the physical world. People who seem inexplicably drawn to you, who see something in you that most others don't name, who speak to a depth in you that you haven't publicly claimed. These encounters feel different from ordinary social interaction. There's a recognition in them that bypasses small talk and goes straight to something essential. These are not coincidences. They are contact points, deliberate intersections arranged to confirm that your reactivation is real and that you are not moving through it alone. Here is something the original transmissions rarely address. Your physical body is also part of this process. The sensitivity you carry to sound, to energy, to other people's emotional states has likely felt like a burden your entire life. You may have spent years learning to shield yourself, to turn down the volume on a receptivity you didn't understand. But here's what changes now. That sensitivity is not a weakness to be managed. It is a precision instrument. In your previous expressions of consciousness, you used exactly this perceptual bandwidth to read the energetic health of entire systems, populations, fields, dimensional structures. The same capacity that makes crowded rooms overwhelming is the capacity that allowed you to sense imbalance across star systems before it became catastrophic. You are not too sensitive for this world. You are exactly sensitive enough for the work. There is another physical dimension to this reactivation that deserves attention. The way your body responds to certain sounds, landscapes, and geometries. You may have noticed that specific music reaches you in a way that seems disproportionate, that certain chord progressions or tonal frequencies produce a recognition in your chest that feels ancient. That standing in old forests, near moving water, or beneath open sky produces a settling in your nervous system that nowhere else quite replicates. That certain geometric patterns, spirals, certain architectural forms, sacred geometries, feel less like interesting shapes and more like familiar language. These responses are not aesthetic preferences. They are your system recognizing frequencies it worked with in other dimensions. Your body remembers what your mind has forgotten, and learning to read those physical signals, to treat them as data rather than coincidence, is part of developing the full intelligence available to you now. Beneath all of this lies a layer of experience that goes even deeper than personal remembrance. Your soul entered this lifetime carrying contracts, agreements made before birth, in the space between incarnations where the soul retains its full awareness and chooses deliberately. These contracts are not burdens imposed on you from outside. They are commitments you made with full knowledge of what this lifetime would require. The challenge is that incarnating erases conscious access to those agreements, leaving only their energetic imprint, which is why you've always felt a sense of responsibility you couldn't quite explain, a pull towards service that preceded any logical reason to feel it. The way you instinctively scan environments for what's wrong, the way you feel responsible for group dynamics even when you didn't create them. The way you have always, somehow, been the one people turn to when things get difficult, even when you felt completely unqualified. These are not personality traits. They are soul-level protocols operating beneath the surface of your conscious identity, executing ancient commitments your waking mind doesn't yet remember making, and the synchronicities accelerating in your life right now. The number patterns, the uncanny timing, the sense that reality is rearranging itself in ways too precise to be random. These are the universe responding to those embedded codes, a lock recognizing its key, the mechanism beginning to turn. There is something else worth naming here that is rarely discussed: the weight of encoded grief. Many returning guardians carry a deep, sourceless sadness, a mourning they cannot attach to any event in this lifetime. It surfaces in quiet moments, in music, in witnessing beauty or suffering. This is not depression in the clinical sense, though it may have been misread as such. It is the grief of a soul that remembers the scale of what was lost in previous cycles. Civilizations, relationships, frequencies that no longer exist in any accessible dimension. Honoring that grief, rather than pathologizing it, is part of the integration process. You are not sad without reason. You are remembering at a depth that transcends this single lifetime. Alongside the grief, many returning guardians carry what might be called a wound of premature leadership. In past cycles, authority came naturally. Your frequency commanded respect without effort, and the structures around you reinforced your role. Entering this lifetime without those structures, without that recognition, without any external confirmation of what you carry, has created a specific kind of pain. The experience of knowing, deeply, inwardly, that you are capable of something significant, while the world around you either ignores that capacity or actively contradicts it. That gap between inner knowing and outer reflection is one of the most difficult aspects of this particular incarnation, and it has caused some returning guardians to overcorrect in one of two directions: either collapsing the knowing to fit the world's reflection, or inflating the identity into ego in search of the recognition the soul remembers. The path through this wound is neither collapse nor inflation. It is patient, grounded self-recognition that does not require external confirmation to remain stable. Take a moment and write in the comments below, "I remember. I am ready." Let that be your declaration to the field. Not a casual comment, but a conscious signal that something in you has shifted. A frequency broadcast, a marker in the quantum record that says, "I am no longer pretending to be less than I am." And if this recognition is stirring something in you that feels ready to go further than a single transmission can carry, if you sense that what we're touching here is only the surface layer of a much larger architecture, I want you to know that I wrote a complete guide for exactly this moment. It's called Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery, and it maps out the full system beneath what we're exploring today, the journey from unconscious transmission to becoming the broadcast itself, and the step-by-step practices for moving from seeking to actually being what you've always carried. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Now we come to the moment most people on this path resist most fiercely. Not the awakening itself, but the acceptance of what the awakening is asking of them. Because here's the thing: recognizing your ancient identity feels profound. It feels validating. It resolves years of inexplicable experience into a coherent narrative. But recognition is not the same as acceptance. And acceptance is not the same as embodiment. And it is embodiment, actually living as what you are, not just believing it, that the council is asking of you now. This is where most returning guardians stall. They receive the recognition and feel it deeply, genuinely, and then they return to their ordinary lives and quietly file the experience under interesting spiritual insight, while continuing to behave as though they are ordinary people with ordinary limitations and ordinary permission. They accept the identity in contemplative moments and dismiss it in practical ones. And the gap between those two modes of being is where the mission gets lost. The summons doesn't arrive as a dramatic call from the sky. It arrives as an inner certainty that begins to make ordinary compromise feel literally unbearable. A growing inability to keep shrinking. A recognition that every time you dim your awareness to fit a smaller space, something in you experiences it as a kind of violence.